PDAC 2026 in Toronto. It's my pleasure to have the CEO of Kuya Silver here with me, David Stein. How are you doing, David?
I'm good, thank you.
How's
good
the
to
show,
see you, Joe.
How's the show so far?
It's been really busy, really busy. It's been a good year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe the first question I ask you is to do a recap because you presented at our conference, the Silver Conference last year in March time. So tell us a bit about the last 12 months, sort of some of the milestones you have achieved for the past 12 months for the company.
So if I go back to the beginning of last year, we're ramping up the mine. Definitely the market was still pretty challenging in early 2025. The silver price was starting to move up. We weren't really seeing much love in the capital markets yet. And then things started to improve, I think, around the summer, so end of Q2, Q3. And, we were able to, put out some really, good development in the mine, Q3 and Q4. We were able to sell some silver concentrate from our Silver Kings project as well to generate some nice revenue from silver. So it was a developing year with a lot of stuff. The kitchen sink, as they say. And then as we go into this year, I think we're going to become more of a conventional growing silver miner with growing production quarter over quarter. And we were able to raise money not only to fund the working capital of the mine, but also to buy the Camilla plant. So we've been toll milling at the Camilla plant for more than a year now, getting good recoveries, good familiarity with this plant. And it's kind of between the mine and the port. And we struck a deal to buy that. We announced that in January, and we should close that very soon in the next few weeks, that deal. So we're going to be in a great position now to keep expanding the mine, to have the processing in our own control, and then also do a lot more exploration starting basically right now.
So let's talk a bit about the silver price in your company. Silver price is forming at a new height now. First of all, do you foresee this kind of silver price last year? Or the second question is, along with this silver price, how does Kuya position itself to continue to grow under such a new environment?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer that in order to really follow and forecast the silver price, you have to look at gold as well. They're really tied closely together in the long run. They do separate and do their own thing at times, but in the long run, gold and silver move together. And the fundamentals for gold are still really strong. A lot of the reasons why gold moved up to $5,000 has not changed. And so I think you'll see silver trading at some kind of ratio to gold. And then what happens is as the bull market continues, that ratio actually goes down. So silver outperforms gold on a percentage basis. It's a smaller market. So when money goes into silver, it tends to push the price up more than it does relative to gold. So I think we're in for strong silver prices for some time. We're kind of in a new era here. I don't expect them to go back down because I don't expect gold to go down. Now, in terms of how we position ourselves, well, first of all, we have a great project at $30 silver. Okay, so we were not really even banking on a higher silver price. I always say that we've got a great project. If the silver price goes up, it's kind of a bonus. It has really helped us out kind of shrink the amount of time it's going to take us to become cash flow positive, because we can start basically generating cash with relatively little production. In fact, stay tuned. We might be close, if not there already. So it's really helping us out. Should help us help the stock price to get reflected faster, because there's a bit more interest for silver, although I still think there could be a lot more generalists coming into the space in the coming years.
So you recently achieved a record production in Bethania Silver Project. So do you see that, are you transitioning to be a producer, continue to grow that production to achieve new heights?
Yeah, so when you're ramping up a new mine, basically every quarter should be a new high, a new record production. And I do expect that in Q1, and then I expect it even higher in Q2. And by Q4 of this year, we should be hitting our initial phase one, what we've been calling our phase one for a few years, which is 350 ton per day daily throughput. That should produce, roughly okay, depending on the grade, but roughly about 1.5 million ounces of silver a year. And, I think we'll do that at a very low cost. So, the margin that we have on the silver price, we don't know what the silver price will be, but it could be, $50+ per ounce of margin, times 1.5 million ounces a year. That's our phase one. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of cash flow. I mean, if you look at our market cap today is probably less than 150 million. And our enterprise value, if you deduct our cash, is probably closer to 120 US dollars. So there's huge upside here.
You also recently acquired a Camilla plant. You mentioned that. And how does it try to become a more integrated approach? So how does it going to affect your efficiency in terms of your operation?
So acquiring the Camilla plant really does two things for us. Number one is it de-bottlenecks and de-risks our ramp up, because now we have the processing under our own control and we can get to that 350 and, we at a plant that we already are familiar with and we've been getting great results from. So that's number one. Number two is then it still allows us to build the Bethania plant at site and go from 350 to 700 tons. Okay, we might be able to do that by 2028, for example, if we build the plant in 2027, the second plant. So now we've actually got a phase two that we didn't have before, where we go from 1.5 million ounces to about 3 million ounces a year. And so, that's the main impact. And again, 3 million ounces times $50 margin, you do the math, that's a big market cap company. So, so that's exciting, and it's not that far away. And, we have we're fully funded to do that as well.
Yeah, you just mentioned fully funded. I'm about to ask you the recent financing, 25.5 million. And so how are you going to deploy your capital on some of your priorities in 2026?
Yeah, the biggest capital outflow is going to be to buy the plant. And we did say in that press release about a month ago that we plan to put about $1 million into the plant as well as the acquisition cost to improve it. So let's say all in, that's about $9 million US dollars. We have a couple of small but very important projects going on that are kind of outside of the main operating mine cash flow model, which would be the exploration program and the new ramp. So that'll cost us maybe another $3 million US between those two projects. And then by the time that first drill program is completed, the mine should be able to fund its own drilling after that. So we do plan to keep on drilling, but it shouldn't require us to put more money in from Canada, from the corporate headquarters, right? So that means that after those two things, we should still be sitting on at these silver prices, $12-15 million US of cash that we then can just kind of keep for a rainy day.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that. My final question for you about your share price, which has done really well in the past 12 months, more than triple valuations. Do you believe for investors that missed the opportunities, there's still room to grow the next 12 to 18 months? And what's some of the catalysts that should be watching for?
That's a great question. And I think it's really important to realize that we still have not been re-rated as a producer. We're not trading like a producer. No one's giving us credit for our cash flow at this point in time. The move up that you referred to, Gilbert, was really just due to the silver price, okay? All the junior silver companies moved up 4x, 3x, 5x, whatever. But this is the year when I think we can really separate ourselves from the other kind of exploration development companies, because again, whether or not the silver price goes up doesn't matter. We are going to be growing cash flow. We're going to be transitioning from a basically a company that's burning cash to a company that's making cash pretty soon. And when you look at other companies that have made that transition, they go very quickly from low hundreds of millions of market cap, 100, 200 million, into the billions very quickly, right? Over $1 billion. Some of them are over $2 billion. And again, these are peers that I think will be will be in our peer group very soon when we finish phase 1 of the mine.
So looking forward to a great year ahead of us, David. Nice to be with us here to share your updates.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.